Editor-in-Chief Andy Hanacek visited with Ruiz Foods President and CEO Rachel Cullen for our March 2014 cover feature. In this video, the two discuss the extreme drought that has hammered California and what it means for agriculture there, as well as Ruiz Foods down the road.
Give me some of your perspective first as an overall, from an overall standpoint on how the drought has affected Ruiz, and if it has, what ways you've kind of tried to modify the way you guys do business.
So first, the drought situation is really sad, okay, to begin with. We have had, up until last week, we had virtually no rainfall in the last 9 months, okay? Obviously the farmers, everybody thinks of irrigation, but this Central Valley depends upon irrigation, yes, but it also depends upon rainfall, and it depends upon the groundwater. So we get water for the crops 3 different ways, and in particular the rainwater is important for the winter crops. Okay, so and the stories in the press are things like the farmers debating on whether or not they're even going to plant in the spring because there's not enough water. The ground's too dry. So the winter crops, in particular, the winter crop is wheat. Very important for tortillas.
Oh, yeah. So
we source a lot of our wheat for our tortillas here in California based on the winter wheat crop here in California. So we are very, very concerned in terms of watching the situation with wheat here in the Central Valley. We actually don't know how the crop has fared yet.
When do you kind of get forced to make that decision here, in a couple months or sooner than that?
Well, from the standpoint of we will have supply, it will just be more expensive because you have to bring it in from other parts of the country.
Gotcha.
But I go back to the sad part because there are a lot of people here in the Central Valley whose livelihood is based on farming.
Yeah. Wheat
in particular. The drought gets a lot of press, but we also had a pretty deep freeze.
Okay.
We had a deep freeze in December that hit 23 degrees.
Oh.
So I'm not close to the citrus crop, but it's a double whammy for the Central Valley because you got both that, because we rely on the citrus crop, and of course we rely on the regular row crops.
How far off do you think that the Central Valley is in terms of coming out of? You said there was some rain, but it probably wasn't enough to, it's not like you guys are out of the drought. Is this something that this is going to take months of rain, weeks of rain? I know you're not a meteorologist, but
I would anticipate it's going to take years to replenish. I mean, I don't know how many feet Lake Tahoe is down, but it's down feet, and it takes a while to replenish a lake like that. The reservoirs, if you fly over, you can see all the reservoirs are really low. And another consequence, by the way, I talked a lot about the wheat and the tortillas, but you have another consequence. Okay, everything depends upon the water. So I talk very specifically about wheat, but you can imagine we also buy and source our beef locally.
I was just going to ask.
So you gotta grow the corn to be able to feed the local cows for beef. Now, we also have a big dairy industry here in California. We source cheese for our products as well. It takes the same issue, in terms of being able to make the cheese, same issue in terms of being able to get the feedstocks, grow the feed because of the drought conditions.
What can the industry learn from these two kind of events, and do you think they will learn in terms of the commodity producers more so?
Well, I think you're going to see a gradual change. I think you're going to see a gradual change in the food industry. I think you're going to see a gradual change with the consumer as well. In the food industry, we're starting to talk about how do we do our sanitation with less water. Okay, at some point. We're not there yet, but how do you do that? The consumer, I think you're going to start seeing more low water lawns, whether it's public spaces or it's private spaces. I think you're going to start seeing that shift. How do we do things differently because water is precious?